What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Masters of the Cultureverse. I'm your friendly neighborhood blurred here with my co-host, as always, the invincible Clay Stroman. How you doing, Clay?
I'm good, Caleb. How you feeling? How you living?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. No complaints so far.
Yeah.
Just working, just living life. I'm sure
How was
you're
your
doing the
Halloween?
same. How was Halloween?
Yeah,
Halloween was all right. I'm not really into Halloween. I don't really like dressing up in costumes and shit like that.
that's kind of surprising since you're
Because I'm
into
an
a lot
actor.
of yes, you're an actor, and even before that, you were into a lot of like comic book characters and things like that. So that's kind of surprising.
Sure, yeah.
What's going on there?
Um, if I had to break it down, I think I'd say most Halloween costumes are pretty cheap and they don't look good. And so if I'm going to dress up as someone or something, I want to look good and I don't want to put on a cheap costume. I don't know.
Hey, nobody said you had to get a cheap one.
Yeah, but then I also don't want to spend all that money for one night. Maybe if I ever go to Comic-Con or something and I dress up to go to Comic-Con, which I don't foresee, but if I ever do that and I make like a legit like Black Panther costume or Miles Morales costume or something, maybe then I'll wear it for Halloween.
I mean, you could always just get like one super badass costume and reuse it forever.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of lame to wear the same costume every year?
Not if it's a super badass costume.
True. That is a fair point. I can't argue with you there.
Yeah. I don't know.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now YouTube. Hi, YouTube. How's it going? Make sure you hit the link in the description of our Instagram at masters.cultureverse, and you can choose whatever method you want to watch right there. We put a
And
link
while
in
you're
there.
hitting the length, make sure you hit the width as well.
Yes. And everybody knows that length times width equals
Area.
there it is.
Hey. Hey, what if we wanted to throw a monkey wrench in the system and multiply by height?
Does that give me volume?
That sure does.
Oh my goodness. Math. We learn when do you learn that? Like third grade?
I believe that's when you start getting into geometry. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Carrie, I use it all the time. I'm in my kitchen. I said, oh, I wonder what the volume of this pitcher is. I break out the old ruler and then I know.
Yeah. I definitely. I very often find myself thinking, I wonder what the volume of this pitcher is.
Every day. I am
Anytime
the guy in those word problems.
Anytime I see something 3D, I always think, I wonder what the volume of that thing is.
Why wouldn't
3D
you?
object.
It's natural. It's natural.
Right. I think it. Yeah. I mean, what kind of sociopath doesn't think like that?
Not one I want to meet.
No.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram at masters.cultureverse. Give us an email, masters.cultureverse@gmail.com. There you can give us announcements, shout outs, whatever you want. All right, so here's a funny story. We did one, was it last week when we had a question on Instagram? And yes. I always say, like, you can email us or put it on Instagram or whatever. And I didn't check the email before we recorded. And so there was an email in there. So this is kind of old. It already says belated in the email, but it's even more belated because I was irresponsible and didn't check the email. So that is all on me. But shout out to Boston, a belated birthday. Your birthday was October 16th, so long ago. And that's from our number one fan. That's how they signed the email. Thank you, Jessica. Boston is our dog, one of our dogs. The other dog is also Brooks. What you reading? What you watching?
I've been watching a lot of spooky stuff.
Same.
Yep. So within the past few days, well, let's say within the past week, I have watched Midsommar. I have watched Hereditary, which are both by the same director.
Hereditary is good. I haven't seen Midsommar.
Yeah. So if you liked Hereditary, which it's a very disturbing movie, I don't know that it's like one that I would like recommend to just anybody. If you liked Hereditary, you'll probably like Midsommar. Samey type of vibe, same guy.
Do we need to check on this guy? Does he need like psychiatric evaluation?
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of people would say that he does, but it leads to him making like very popular movies. So
sure.
Yeah. So I think we'll just leave him as is for now. We'll wait to see what his third movie ends up being. Like if it's even worse, then we'll be like, okay, maybe we should go ahead and get this guy some help. And I also watched Oculus, which I had never seen before. I watched that
Is that
Sunday
the one with
night.
Karen Gillan?
Yes,
Yep.
AKA Nebula.
AKA Amy Pond.
Yes. And yeah, that one was pretty good. That's a kind of a unique premise there. I liked it. It was interesting. It's not necessarily like, I feel like it's not really a horror movie. It's a little bit more of like a psychological thriller with like some light horror aspects.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, pretty good movie. Pretty good movie. And then I always want to catch Halloween when it's on AMC, like around Halloween time.
Classic.
Yeah, yeah.
Classic.
What about you?
Well, I finished Lovecraft Country. Very good. Highly recommend.
Okay.
I also actually bought the book on Amazon. I'm gonna have to read that, which I was watching like some breakdown YouTube videos on Lovecraft Country episode by episode as I was finishing them. And the book is very different from the show, apparently. So I'm looking
Okay.
forward to seeing the differences from what I've gathered from these videos. The show, this is very rare, the show might be better just because there's more details and more character development, which you don't see in the book. So
Interesting. I feel like it's normally the other way around.
exactly. But what else did I watch? I watched It, because I think it's a funny movie, honestly.
I also watched it within the last week as well. It was on
There you
TV.
go.
And yeah, that's a surprisingly low key funny movie.
Right. Well,
I mean,
Finn
it's
Wolfhard, he's hilarious.
pretty spooky too.
Pretty, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You got a good balance.
Yeah.
I finally watched Tubi Halloween.
What'd you think?
I didn't like it particularly that much. Honestly, it was hard to understand him with that voice he was doing for a lot of the movie.
Yeah, that got kind of old to me.
Yeah, I was 5 minutes in. I looked at Jessica. I said, "Is he going to talk like this for the whole movie?" Because I was not a fan.
It was a little bit much.
It's kind of like he combined every character he's played beforehand, like Little Nicky, Billy Madison. All of them were just combined into Hubie. But
He threw in a couple of Rob Schneider's characters in there too, just for the hell of it.
yeah. Which, never mind. I'm not even gonna. No, that's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, I was not a fan of that movie too much. Sadly, I did not make it to Hill House, but I don't, it doesn't have to be October for me to watch it, so I'll just watch it.
Right. Although it would have been better, but whatever. We're past that point right now. But I actually learned something interesting about a connection between Hill House, Bly Manor, Oculus. It's all the same director. Yeah. He also did Hush. Have you heard of Hush?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So Hush has one of the characters that's in Hill House, one of the main characters as the main character. She's deaf, and there's like a creepy stalker guy in her house. So the movie's like almost completely silent.
Cool.
Very spooky. And that woman who's the main character in that movie, and she's also in Hill House, is that director's wife, apparently. So yeah. Yeah, there were a bunch of other movies. I looked up his IMDb page after I found that out. And yeah, a bunch of like popular movies, popular like horror movies that have come out recently are by that guy. They're
making
just like
his own little horror verse, I guess.
Horror verse, yeah. Although they're not connected other than the hauntings.
It's all right. Oh, I also watched It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, to bring some levity to the night.
Classic.
I hadn't seen it in years.
Me neither.
So I think I'm going to do that with all the Charlie Browns, like the Thanksgiving one. I'm going to watch that in a couple of weeks, and then I'll do the Christmas one. I've seen the Christmas one the most, I think.
Okay. I don't know which Charlie Brown movie I've seen the most. I don't think I've seen any Charlie Brown movies enough to really have a counter like that. Well, I've probably seen them all once or twice throughout my lifetime.
So you're pretty even across the board.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
If we have to put some sort of breakdown to it. Speaking
of breakdowns and scores, what's going on in sports?
Okay, nice transition.
Thank you.
So we have week 8 of the NFL in the books here. Season's halfway over essentially at this point, and it was it was another kind of uneventful week. I mean, the Panthers lost. The Patriots continue to lose, which is kind of interesting. They have their worst start. I don't know. I think since like 2002 or something.
Something like that.
They're 2-5. They lost 4 straight.
So is it a Tom Brady thing? Wasn't that the question at the beginning of the season?
It looks like it's a Tom Brady thing. Yeah, it does.
How does Bill feel about that?
Okay, so Belichick actually had a pretty funny quote the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but it went along the lines of, okay, so look, we just paid Cam Newton $1 million for his contract. We're doing that because we have no money left. Why do we have no money left? Because we sold out so we could win 3 Super Bowls over the past 5 years. And now here we are.
Okay.
That's just his quote. Okay,
All right.
Not quote for quote, but something along the lines of that. He basically, well, he did say the words sold out for 3 Super Bowls. He was basically like, look, why do you think we gave Cam this contract? Like, literally, we couldn't give him any more. And we're losing. We can't pay, we don't have that many good players around him because we totally sold out to win all those Super Bowls. And now here we are. Like, it's fine. Like, we know why we're here.
Well, at least he knows.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, Tom's thing, the Patriots with Tom, it was always a situation where it was kind of the Tom Brady show with a supporting cast that was lacking. Like, he never had a top running back. It was very rare that he had a top receiver, like a league-wide top receiver. The last time he had like a very viable one was Randy Moss way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've got hands like him, I've been told.
Actual?
That's what I've been told.
Who's told you that?
Football coach in high school.
If it was Jess, it doesn't count.
It was not.
Okay. So yeah, it was always just Tom Brady making it work with like a lacking supporting cast around him. They always had a good defense. They always had top players on defense, but as far as their offense, it was kind of Tom Brady just like making magic happen with guys who weren't necessarily superstars.
Mm-hmm.
So now that he's gone, Cam Newton cannot fill that void and do the same thing.
Sure.
So yeah, and then Tom is winning with the Buccaneers. They look like one of the best teams in the league right now. They actually played last night against the Giants, and what's interesting is that the Giants are 1-7. They're one of the worst teams in the league. The Buccaneers now they're 1-7 after last night. The Buccaneers are now 6-2, so they're one of the best teams in the league. But in that game, the Giants went out to I believe it was a 14-3 lead, something like that, and yeah, they looked like really good in the first half, and it was like, what's going on with the Giants? Also, what's going on with the Bucks? And then it kind of evened out in the second half, but it ended up just being a 25-23 game.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see some overtime in that one.
Yeah, it was interesting. And the Giants, I know, are so they're 1-7. That has happened 3 times within the last 4 years for them. So they stink. Yep. And then we had a nice little NFC East showdown between the Eagles and the Cowboys. The NFC East is just that piece of shit conference where the winner's probably going to have like 5 wins or something like that at the end of the season.
Sure.
And the Eagles are first place in the NFC now with a 3-4-1 record.
Mm-hmm.
That's just that's no good.
Still a losing record, and they're in the first.
Yeah, and they have a stupid tie in there, which is just like the cherry on top. What else do we have? We had so the Jets still have not won. They're 0-8 now after playing the Chiefs. And, of course, they were not going to beat the Chiefs, and the game was a blowout. Yeah, so 0-8. So they'll probably finish this year 0-16. I hope that they do. I think it will be pretty funny.
Just in it for the laughs.
Yeah. Just for shits and gigs. And, yeah, I mean, other than that, the Panthers lost again, so they look kind of bad. Teddy Bridgewater kind of threw the game away on the final drive, which is kind of becoming a trend for him, which is a little concerning as a Panthers fan. Also, losing to the Falcons is never fun at all.
Yeah.
And good news is that Christian McCaffrey, I believe, will be back this week. Yep. Yeah, so they're taking him off the IR this week, and he should play. So he's arguably the best player in the league. So
yeah,
let's say arguably the best non-quarterback player in the league.
Sure. Okay.
He's definitely the best. I mean, he was the best fantasy player last year. So he's a stud. I just want that guy back. I miss him.
We all do.
Yep. We had a couple crazy fantasy performances like Dalvin Cook. He had 4 touchdowns.
Mhm.
The Vikings played the Packers, which the Packers have looked really good. They're 5-2 right now. The Vikings were 1-5 before this week, so it was a 1-5 versus a 5-1 matchup, and the Vikings won. They scored 28 points. All 28 of them belonged to Dalvin Cook with his 4 touchdowns. So that was crazy. I think he had like 40 to 50 fantasy points,
Yeah, I
something
think it was
insane
like
like that.
44 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say he had 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, yeah, yeah. And speaking of fantasy, we don't have to talk about the fact that I beat you this week in fantasy.
You just beat me. You
I,
fucking crushed me.
I guess we did just talk about it though. So there it is. It's out there.
I lost in 2 leagues and I won in 1. So there's
Yeah,
that.
I lost in 1 league and I won in 5, which the only moral to that is that I'm in way too many damn fantasy leagues.
You
It's my
gonna
only
you gonna
takeaway.
cut some of those out next year?
Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see if I can clean my life up a little bit more next year.
Learn to say no.
I mean, that's my thing. That's my thing. Just a friend will ask me to be in a league. Sure, whatever. What's one more? And then the work league comes around. Sure, whatever. What's one more?
Mm-hmm.
And then another friend will ask.
I
Another
think
friend from a totally different group. Sure, what's one more?
I think I'm gonna cap out at 2 next year. I think I'm gonna cut the work league out because
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just makes me, I mean, 6 leagues, I've said this before, it just makes me kind of like numb to it all.
Right.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. Would
Too
not
much.
recommend.
Yeah.
0 of 10 would not recommend at all whatsoever. That's kind of our roundup for football this week.
Did we talk about the World Series last week?
If we did or not, we're not going to talk about it this week.
Isn't it over?
Yes.
You don't even want to say who won?
I said that last week.
Did you? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I did say it last week.
All right.
We
Play back
talked
the
about
tape. Let us know if Clay actually said it last week.
I believe we talked about that last week.
Who knows?
Either way.
Either way, we're not going to tell you who won this week either. So
someone fact check us on that.
Yeah, Jessica, get on that, please.
Okay, we have other fans. We at least have like 3 other fans.
At least 3 other fans?
Mm-hmm.
Can you name them?
Actually, yeah, I can.
Are you gonna?
Yes, I know of at least 3 more people who are at least familiar with the show if they haven't listened to it. One of them being Sherry, the other one being Denise, who sent in a question a couple weeks ago mentioning Sherry.
Mm-hmm.
And also Nick, Denise's boyfriend.
Oh, and hello, Nick. Hello, Denise. Hello, Sherry.
What about yeah? So
and Gary, who also sent in a question.
Gary,
he sent in a question last week.
Yes, yeah. So those are all loyal fans.
Shout out to you guys. You guys are day ones.
Best friends of the show.
The
pillars of this, the foundation of this this rock that we call the Cultureverse.
Wow, that was good. We'll have to make a tribute to them one day.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about some video games. We got some delays. So Cyberpunk 2077 was delayed again. Far Cry 6 was delayed along with Rainbow Six Quarantine. The only one, I mean, I'm interested in Far Cry 6. Never played a Far Cry game before, but Cyberpunk is the biggest one, I think. And it was only delayed for 21 more days from when it was supposed to come out. So it's not like a huge delay, but a delay nonetheless.
But I mean, they've been pushing it back. It's like every single month they say, all right, we're going to push it back one more time, one more time. Do we think that this is going to stick? Because it seems like there's some pretty sound reasoning behind this latest delay.
Yeah, right? I feel like so this latest delay is to improve the game's day 0 patch and to properly test it on all 9 platforms that it's going to be available on. So I feel like since that's what this delay is for specifically, I think we're like right there, like we're fine tuning. We just need a little bit more time. So I think after these 21 days, it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's also part of it where it's like I can't imagine these are not things that they haven't been working on already.
Sure.
And like how much of a difference can 3 weeks really make in the grand scheme of things?
I guess it depends on how many people you got working.
I can imagine that I can imagine that CD Projekt Red, that studio, is pretty big these days. I know they started off small, but after The Witcher, they're probably pretty big these days. I would
Probably.
imagine. I think they probably have a lot of people working on this game. It's a huge game.
I feel like we've been hearing more about delays in the last few years than we have in like years past. And I wonder, I just thought of this, if that's because you remember that big, I don't know, like debacle or exposure of like crunch time that the video game industry had a couple years ago.
Where people were being overworked and underpaid and things like that.
Yeah, when it was getting close to for the game to come out, they would do that to them. I wonder
I
if
do
this is
I
the
do
result of
remember
that.
that. Yeah,
I,
that would make sense.
because since they're not doing these crunch time hours anymore, we got to keep delaying because we're not where we would have been if we were making this game, say, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's an aspect to it where people are having to work from home for some of this stuff, and
Sure.
the lack of, well, I'm sure everybody's still collaborating really well, but the collaboration level probably at least took a bit of a hit, just not
And
being all together.
and you also got to think, I mean, systems are becoming more advanced and games are getting bigger. So, I mean, that adds to it as well. So I think it's just kind of like a combination of all these things coming together is why we're
Sure.
getting so many delays lately.
Sure. And then we have, so it's interesting because we have Ubisoft delaying Far Cry 6, but I mean, nothing's ever happened with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That one's rolling ahead, coming out in a week. You know,
Sure.
they never
Well,
had
maybe
a
that's
delay
where
for that
all
one.
of their time and effort was going to.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because I know that game, the newest Assassin's Creed game, whenever they put out the beta or like whatever footage that they were giving to like some of the YouTubers or whatever like build that they were letting some of the YouTubers play, it was fairly rough, and that was only a few months ago. And what I'm seeing now, a lot of the YouTubers just have like either copies of the games or like light editions of it where they get to like put out X amount of hours on their channels. And the game looks like almost night and day compared to a few months ago. So that would make sense that they've just been pouring everything into that.
That makes sense. Yeah. In other news, Prowler is confirmed for Spider-Man Miles Morales.
We were talking about this a couple weeks ago or last week.
We talked about it on the show?
We talked about
I thought that was just us texting.
No, we talked about how we actually were talking about text messages. We talked about how in the little promos for the games that they've been putting out with the text conversations, we saw Aaron Davis in one of them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yep. And we were lightly speculating for like 60 seconds if he'd be in the game or not. Proud.
Yes, I recall.
And here we have.
Now we are confirmed.
Confirmation here. Yep.
Pretty
cool character.
He is cool. Don't like the costume.
Suit looks a little disappointing, especially compared to the Spider-Verse movie. It looked really dope in that.
Right.
But
which is pretty close to the comic suit, just kind of more fleshed out, I guess, more animated, more visceral.
Yeah, the one in the game, it just looks like it has a lot less going on in general. Just looks like
a standard mech suit.
Or just like a stealth suit or something that kind of lights up a little bit. It just reminds me of, like, you played Spidey PS4, right?
Of course.
Okay, so he's got the big time suit, which is the stealth suit. It's the black one with the green, like, neon. So it's essentially what Prowler looks like.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, hopefully he has like a substantial part. I think I would like to see him come into play like in the second half of the game.
Sure. I already told you my theory or what I wanted to see last week with the he steals the suit from the villain of the game. Remind me.
Oh, yeah. I forget what they're calling those villains.
Yeah, me too. Like, so he steals because their suits are similar. He steals the suit for them and then from them and then goes on his Prowler ways. Yeah. I thought that would be cool.
That would be cool, but I thought we were saying that to speculate that his suit would be black and pink like theirs, and like it was in Spider-Verse.
Yeah, ish. The colors could change. I mean, he could fits with it.
He could fits with it. That's right. Well, cool.
We also saw the some not something, like a decent amount of footage of the Into the Spider-Verse suit, which looks really good, really cool.
Looks sweet. Looks sweet.
They've got that choppy animation, like that's the
Yeah,
same style of the movie.
drop the frame rate a little bit when you wear
Yeah,
that suit.
I think what was happening is they were like cutting out frames, not just dropping the frame rate, but like actually removing frames or something to give it that look. That would be my guess. I don't know exactly how they were doing it, but
Yeah, but they wanted it to look like kind of like it performed in the movie.
right, which I think it matches perfectly. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I mean, I will say, obviously, it does look a little out of place, like in that world, because everything else is super realistic, and this is this cartoon suit.
Sure, so did in PS4 Spider-Man. They had that comic book suit.
I know. They had the Peter B. Parker suit.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the like classic comic book suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they also had the other Spider-Verse suit.
Yeah.
That came with one of the DLCs, though, so you maybe never played with it.
No, I got all the DLCs, motherfucker.
Okay. My bad. I'll back up.
Yeah, don't test me.
I will back up.
But this suit and the track suit are your like pre-order bonuses, which is not exclusive to the pre-order. You will still be able to get them in game even if you don't pre-order, which I thought
you just get to start with them if you pre-order it.
Correct. Whereas if you don't, you have to unlock them like you did in the first game.
Yep.
Which was good.
Yeah. I mean, all the dope ass suits are one of the main draws of these games.
For real. Yeah. Getting to switch them out.
Yeah, like those are the coolest like unlockables in the game, really. I mean, skills and suits.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Me too. Same. Did you pre-order already? Nice eyebrows.
No, I haven't. So I probably, when does that game drop again? Is it
12th.
December? What?
November 12th.
Okay. So I have pre-ordered Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't pre-order Spidey. I'll probably just get it when it comes out.
Sure.
Because I'll just unlock the suits. It's fine. I've got time. Sort of.
I've got nothing but time.
I actually don't have that much time, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, I was thinking about pre-ordering. I mean, if I get it for the PS4, I know it's a free upgrade to the PS5, which I want. And so I told you I was debating whether I wanted to wait until I actually had the PS5 because I didn't get a pre-order. Those were like impossible to get. Or if I would just, because I really want to play it when it comes out. You know what I mean? That's going to be like nothing else is really coming out around it. Like that's going to be the game for a couple weeks. And I could beat it in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, that's what I'm not going to wait for it.
Yeah, that's the answer I arrived at as well. I'm just debating whether I want to pre-order it or just buy it on the 12th.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the free upgrade to PS5, it's like you might as well just grab that shit.
Right.
Yeah. That's one of the main, I feel like that's one of the coolest features of the PS5, like all these free PS4 upgrades for like some of the bigger games that have come out like this year. I want to say they're even upgrading like some older games. Are they not? Or
I don't know. Possibly.
No, whatever. This is just speculation at this point.
But yeah, no, I'm going to get it. I have some time before to decide it because, I mean, you can pre-order up till the day before, so it doesn't really matter. Right.
Yeah, and the only reason why I want to pre-order Valhalla is so that I can preload it and just play it at midnight when it comes out next Monday night.
Yeah, you going to stay up late?
Hell yeah.
You going to do a live stream?
Hell no. A million people are going to do live streams of that. I don't need to do that.
Yeah, but for our 5 loyal fans, they want to see Clay Carson Stroman stream it.
Easy with the middle name there, buddy.
Hey, I told you I was going to throw it out there eventually.
Whoa.
Ooh.
You should have ran that by me first.
It's all right. I'll edit it out.
Anyone who's listening and not watching.
That's an Easter egg for the people watching on YouTube.
He just, for anybody listening and not watching, he mouthed the words, "No, I won't," after he said he would edit it out.
That is correct.
Traitor.
I'm sorry.
Treacherous.
Moving on to television. Netflix is working on some what is an Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Eid.
Assassin's Eid. Some Assassin's Creed shows. There's going to
Yeah,
be,
they are.
or I mean, they're working on Ubisoft shows. Assassin's Creed is going to be live action, and it's going to be the first of multiple Ubisoft Netflix projects, which are going to be
And
like
I mean, that's the
anime,
main one
animation, and live action stuff.
And I want to say I heard that they're going to work on like several. So you mentioned anime, animation, live action. I want to say that they're planning on doing all of that within Assassin's Creed in and of itself.
Interesting.
I know that they're making more Ubisoft shows. I could see them making a Far Cry show, because a Far Cry show I think would kill on Netflix. Like that's Far Cry's Far Cry's super popular for a reason. They always have really good stories. They're always in really cool settings. Same thing with Assassin's Creed. So like, I feel like this shit was kind of made for Netflix.
Yeah.
And I, for one, am pumped. I'm a big ass Creed guy, in case anybody here didn't know.
Big ass Creed guy.
Yeah. So I will gobble up anything. Okay, that's gonna keep me on Netflix, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always just cancel it and then wait for the show to come out and then re-up.
Right, because my Netflix loyalty is going to be shaken come January 1st when The Office is gone.
Yes.
So we'll see how that plays out. But these Assassin's Creed shows, that's a big draw for me. And I really want them to do so, like the live action one specifically. I really want them to do it as like an anthology series where they do like, let's say they do like Ezio for one season in Rome. And then the next season they could do like Edward in the Caribbean with pirates.
Sure. I like that.
Or they could do like some new characters in new settings too, and just like explore the lore a little bit more.
And I want that. That would be cool, but I don't want any like animus stuff. Like I want it to be straight, like it's happening in that time. You know what I mean?
So that's something that I want too. I think that there has to be a little bit of the modern day stuff for Assassin's Creed to work. Like
I don't know.
The animus is a big part of it. I mean, that's the only reason any of this.
Yeah, but
that's the only reason we're able to access the past.
Anybody who's watching the show knows what the animus is, and people who don't know what the animus is aren't going to care if it's not there. You know what I mean?
Okay, maybe, but that's one of the main. So, did you ever see the movie, the Assassin's Creed movie with Michael
Fassbender? Did you say Assbender?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it.
So the movie sucked, unfortunately.
It did.
And one of the things I disliked the most about it was that most of the movie took place, or I don't know, half or most or whatever, seemed to take place in the modern day, which was lame. Obviously, that's not the draw of Assassin's Creed. It's the historical settings, the historical characters, and just playing around with like historical events and like having a part in all that. And so to make most of it take place in the modern day, that's just a big mistake. And they wanted to take that movie and they wanted it to appeal to both Assassin's Creed fans and just like moviegoers who might be interested in a movie like that too. So they did a bunch of different things with like the sci-fi elements in the modern day, and the animus was a whole completely different thing. Like instead of a table that you lay down on or a matrix thing, it was like you saw it, right? It was like,
yeah, it was like fucking jacks him in, and he's like in like a mechanical claw.
It like picks him up and carries him around this big room as he's moving and like jumping in the past.
Yeah.
Like
no, it was really fucking stupid.
Almost like it's like a VR experience or like some haptic feedback from Ready Player One or something.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Very.
But so I hope that the show can learn from the mistakes that the movie made, because Assassin's Creed is all about history, and you know what they say about people who don't learn from history.
What do they say, Clay?
They'll repeat that shit.
That's the quote, word for word. They'll repeat that shit.
They sure will.
But okay, so Clay would like to see animus stuff. Kaleb could do without it. He doesn't really care. What do you guys think?
Keep it to 5% though.
5%. Okay, I could deal with 5%.
5%
but I mostly want
stuff.
Okay, so fucking I don't remember.
95% in the past.
I think it was Assassin's Creed 2, maybe. I think we watched this at your house on your computer one time, actually. It was like a film about Ezio and his uncle, and like it was like low budget and shit. But that movie was better than the Fassbender movie. And that probably took maybe $500 to make.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Netflix learned from that, recreate that type of shit.
Yeah, all you need is $500.
Mm-hmm.
In other TV news, this is a quick one. It's just fun. Chappelle Show. It's on Netflix and HBO Max. How it's on both, I don't know. I don't know how contracts work,
It's
but
interesting.
it's on both.
Do you have a favorite skit?
There's so many classic ones. I like the Tyrone Biggums one when he's talking to the kids in school. That's a good one. Wayne Brady. That's a classic. And of course, Clarence, the KKK guy. That's always a good one.
Yeah.
Clayton Bigsby. That's
Clayton Bigsby. Yeah. Clayton Bigsby. Wasn't that in like the very first episode? Actually,
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a classic. And being in the first episode, it's like he started off strong with Clayton Bigsby just being a part of it. It's like, okay, we know what the vibe of the show is going to be forever. We got like player hater ball. We got the episode,
draft.
Yeah, the draft, the race draft.
Yeah.
We have the Charlie Murphy Prince episode.
The Charlie Murphy ones are gold.
Where Prince dunks on him at the end. Yeah, I will be going back through this show once when is it supposed to hit?
It's already there.
Okay, there we go.
It was November 1st, I believe, so it's on there.
We're in it.
And I double checked. I looked at both Netflix and my HBO Max, and it was on both. So,
okay, there we go.
We're getting in there. The Pop Copy one, I like that one. It was like an instructional video for that office supply store because fuck them. That's why. It's a great line. Moving on to movies. So, Shang-Chi wrapped production with 0 positive COVID cases, which I thought was like a great feat. Number one, the news here, we're done with Shang-Chi. It's already wrapped, but then no cases.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shang-Chi obviously being our upcoming Kung Fu Marvel movie, which should be pretty sweet. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a solid achievement there.
Yeah, good for them. Good job, Shang-Chi crew. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we've got COVID on almost every NFL team right now.
Yeah, a news alert. I don't remember who it was for, but 2 players are out because of COVID protocols. But
yeah, there was. So I don't know why I can't think of the team right now, but there was a team where one of their offensive linemen got COVID, and they were considering just pulling the entire offensive line for that game. I believe they ended up testing negative, the rest of them, but those guys are so close together, like in the trenches together in practice and in the games. That would have been crazy if you have to pull your entire offensive line. Like, you might as well just postpone the game altogether.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, Shang-Chi, good work.
Shang-Chi, good job. WB is committed to Christmas release for Wonder Woman 84. Christmas is in, we'll just call it a month and a half. Do we really foresee the theaters opening in a month and a half?
So no, although Christmas is a big movie theater holiday.
It is. I've never actually gone to the movie theater on Christmas, but...
So I have multiple times.
Okay.
Like, the Star Wars movies tend to come out on Christmas. I want to say I think I saw 2 out of the most recent trilogy on Christmas, like when they came out.
Are you sure those didn't come out in the summer?
I am. I saw The Force Awakens on Christmas Day. Yep.
I saw them all in theaters. I've never been to the theater on Christmas.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like, because you have Christmas Eve, you're with your family. You have Christmas Day, you're with your family. And maybe like after presents, after dinner, turkey, ham, whatever you're having. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it just makes sense to go catch a movie after that. It at least has for me more than once.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Theaters still aren't even open in our state. So
Right. So
we're not going to see it on Christmas.
So is it Warner Brothers committing to this, or is it Gal? Because I thought I had seen something about Gal Gadot saying that. Like, yeah, like we're still shooting for Christmas, but like what?
What I read said Warner Brothers committed.
Okay. Cool. Well, we'll see. We'll see. At some point, I would love to see a movie. I don't know that I want to go into a movie theater in 2020.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's dirty in there.
It's dirty in there.
That's
They
all
just
I've
need
got
to
to
put up like, they need to make movie theaters like a bubble experience. Each person gets their own bubble.
Okay. How do you propose that happens?
I don't know. Okay. The logistics are not up to me, right?
Oh,
It's
you're
up to me to
just
throw.
the idea guy.
I'm planting the seed. I'm just the idea guy. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
planting the seed, I'm throwing it out there, and then the powers that be, the people who really make this shit work, figure it out.
All
It
right,
can't
you
be that
heard
hard.
that, movie
It can't
theater
be that hard. Even if
people.
you want to put me in one of those like, those blow up things, it's like a ball that goes around you and you can like run into your friends with it.
Yeah, like
You know
the
what I'm talking
hamster ball
about?
things.
Yeah, sort of. Just
I
give
know
me
what you're
one of
talking
those. I'll
about.
walk in. Yeah, just give me one of those. I'll walk in with it. It's fine. It's fine.
And can you like sit in that thing?
I don't know. I've never been in one.
Okay.
Maybe not.
I'm gonna go with
Just put it
probably
in.
not.
Put it in a thing where. Okay, so this is what it's going to be. All right. Instead of a chair, it's just going to be like a platform, flat with a hole in the middle of it. A hole that's big enough to fit the lower half of this hamster ball bubble that I'm going to be in. So
Mm-hmm.
basically you like walk up a couple steps on top of the platform, then you plop your feet down into the hole, and then they just hang there
Mm-hmm.
while the hole in the platform supports the rest of the bubble. And then
Okay.
you're basically just like hanging there watching a movie.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's one idea, and my idea, I
It sure
think,
is one, whether it's
my
good or not.
idea would just be to keep them closed until we have a vaccine.
Wow. That was a terrible idea.
I know.
How did you even pull that out of your ass like that?
It's a gift to come up with these terrible ideas.
All right. That's
All
why
right.
you're not the idea guy.
That is correct. That's why that is your job.
I just saved the movie theater industry single-handedly.
And I'm killing it. So
It's not a big deal though.
no, you're not a hero.
No. I mean, do people call me that? Sure.
I've heard whispers.
Sure. All the time. Would I call myself that? Probably.
All right. Let's move into these main topics. We got two. We used to just do one. Now we got two today.
And one of them is Star Wars, which feels cool, which feels good.
It does. The Mandalorian premiered last Friday, the first episode of season 2.
Yes.
And I forgot how good, like I didn't forget how good the show was, but like it didn't hit me again until like I heard the music and I started watching it again, and I was like, oh shit. Like I was like, I need the second episode. Like give me my next fixed. God, I can't speak tonight. My next fix, but I'm okay waiting. I'm not going to leave any reviews about fucking releasing it all at once or anything.
Okay, so I have already gotten most of my friends. I wanted to save me asking you for the show here. I was going to ask all our viewers too. So me and all my friends have already review bombed the show because they didn't let me binge it. Yeah. So
and you're going to ask me to do the same?
No, I was going to implore you.
Oh, implore me.
Yep.
Wow.
Just kidding. No, we don't review bomb here.
No. If you review bomb, get a fucking life.
You're dead to us.
Dead. You will never be a master of the Cultureverse.
Never.
No longer an acolyte.
That is the minimum. That's the minimum requirement to being a master of the Cultureverse is to never have review bombed anything.
Correct. You can give a bad review, but for very specific good reasons, not because you couldn't fucking binge it.
Not because you're spoiled and selfish.
Good words. All right, The Mandalorian. So I'm gonna say this right off the bat. I'm a Timothy Oliphant fan. I like him.
Same.
I like Raylan Givens. I like Justified. I watched the first season of Santa Clarita Diet. I know that's not like him being his badass normal self, but it's still good.
I watched the first season of that too, and I love how Timothy Oliphant, he's like the sheriff. He's like the Hollywood sheriff.
Yeah.
Him and Tommy Lee Jones are different versions of the Hollywood sheriff.
Yeah. Ooh, they should do a movie together about like a new sheriff and like an old, you know what I mean? Like a little, not like a buddy cop, but
I was gonna say like a I don't know, like a disjointed buddy cop where
Yeah.
he's obviously, Tommy Lee is obviously the grump. Timothy Oliphant is obviously the new hotshot.
Mm-hmm. I'd watch
But
the fuck out of that.
I absolutely would, 100%. And he's obviously playing essentially a sheriff in Mandalorian, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Space
Like, the
marshal.
marshal.
Yep, the marshal. Yeah.
Yeah. So we see Mando. He's at this like fight pit, whatever. He's asking about where this I can't remember this dude's name. I didn't realize this was John Leguizamo until I was reading the credits.
I didn't either until I saw it in the credits.
Yeah, I said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I need to go back and like rewatch and like
You
listen."
can probably. So I was thinking if I rewatch it, I could probably tell by his voice.
Right, but like just off the bat, like you don't know. Just like in was it Force Awakens? I didn't know it was Simon Pegg in that fucking
Yep.
shit.
Yep.
Anyway,
They do that a lot. They do that a lot with a lot of actors.
Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
What's Bond's name? Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper at one point for no reason.
Yeah. And I'm dropping my gun. That was him.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, so he's trying to find the Mandalorians because that's the last thing the armorer told him to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they'll help him take the child and find its own kind, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So this guy obviously double crosses.
The child being Baby Yoda, obviously.
Baby Yoda, of course.
Yes.
This guy obviously double crosses him, and I like when shit's about to go down. Baby Yoda knows, and he just like pops himself into the little carriage.
So they showed that in the trailer, and I was just like you knew it was going to happen in that opening scene. Like you can tell that was the scene it happened in, and it's still, even though we'd seen it a bunch of times in the trailer, it was still hilarious.
Yes, I agree.
Like Baby Yoda does not miss. Baby Yoda keeps shooting. You will never miss.
No, yeah. Side note: do you watch SNL?
I do.
Did you see the Weekend Update? They had Baby Yoda on.
I did not. I saw it on a thumbnail on YouTube, but I didn't watch SNL this weekend.
Okay, Baby Yoda is like a fucking like TikToker kind of vibe going on
naturally.
There. It's pretty funny. It's humorous. Check it out.
Okay.
Anyway, so Mando like beats all these guys' asses because he's a badass, and that's what he does. And he gets the guy to tell him where he knows of a Mandalorian being, which was Mos Pelgo. Goes to Mos Pelgo, sees Timothy Oliphant. He takes off his helmet, and he's like, "Whoa, you're not actually a Mandalorian," because we know they don't take off their helmets. And they make this deal where he'll give Mando the armor back if Mando helps him defeat this crate dragon, and that's pretty much the episode, is them figuring out how to beat the crate dragon, having the Tusken Raiders and the villagers kind of combine forces to take this down, because there's been some animosity. The Raiders are obviously raiding shit and killing some of the villagers, so they're not too happy about working with them. But
as
all
Raiders do.
Yes, but all their differences are put aside for the good of both parties, and they defeat the dragon. So now we can go into details about what we thought.
Yeah. First of all, that dragon is dope.
Yes.
That was, so I had, apparently that had been a creature that had been hinted in Star Wars in the past.
Sure. Yeah. I didn't realize that until I was watching like a breakdown in A New Hope. You can see a skeleton as C-3PO is wandering through the desert.
Yeah. So we get to see the crate dragon. It's badass. I really liked how the Marshal, like part of his thing was to connect us as the viewers to past Star Wars. Like he obviously was wearing Boba Fett's armor. Like you could see it pretty much right off the bat. Like, okay, that looks pretty familiar. And also at one point that speeder that he was riding was a piece of so it was either a piece of Anakin's pod racer from the Phantom Menace, or it's a common speeder that Anakin used two of to make his pod racer out of. Those are kind of
I've seen some people say it wasn't Anakin's, and some people say it was. But at any rate, it's from a pod.
Either way, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same setup. Like it's the same version of something that Anakin used, or it's straight from his pod racer.
Right.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Very cool. So what'd you think of the episode overall? So all right. So I have some other friends, Ethan and some other boys. We talked about last season how some episodes are kind of like one and done episodic episodes, where some kind of move the larger story along and give us more. This is one of those one and done type of deals.
I think it was both.
Sure, but okay.
But for the most part, it was pretty contained.
Yes. I'll grant you kind of both, but yes, for the most part, let's just say for argument's sake, this one is a contained one. How do you feel about those? Because I don't mind the one and dones just based off, like, I like Westerns. Westerns are really cool. I want to make a Western one day. And I know a lot of things in Westerns, they're kind of like quests or whatever. And then you have these little stops along the way, which don't particularly add to the overall story. But it does add to the character and building
the world
him
building.
up or having them learn something, right?
Yeah. So I like it. So I will subscribe to that that like concept, that layout, because I just want to see more of like what's happening in the world of Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mando taking these side quests to different planets we've never seen before in this universe, and meeting different characters that we've never seen before in this universe, and learning about how different like cultures work and things like that. Like that's like they're showing us these things as he's doing these one and done like side quest episodes. So I think that's pretty cool about it.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just like it gives us another, I don't know, just another form of world building as he's just like going around the galaxy doing his thing. I think Mando's pretty unique in that they have the freedom to do that with the show.
Yeah. And like I said, I like Westerns, and this was like straight up spaghetti Western. Like Mando going into town, you had like the one road that goes through the town. You had the marshal. You had like a standoff in the fucking.
He walks into the saloon, and then they have a solid standoff there.
Right. Like this was like total spaghetti Western. It was great. I loved it. Which this show is basically a space Western. So yeah, I really enjoy those one and dones. I don't mind that they're not moving the story along at a giant leap, maybe like a step. We'll say.
Right. Like this one, I feel like the actual like plot development that happened in this one was in the last like few seconds.
Yes.
Couple things at the beginning when we learn about like what his mission is and what he's like, where he's looking to go and who he's looking to find and things like that. And then at the very end, when there was, obviously a bit of a big reveal.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got who appears to be, I say appears because all of the clones look exactly the same. Or
because they're clones.
Look like this guy.
Right.
Appears to be Boba Fett at the end, just kind of like watching over the happenings.
You say appears, I say it is.
It's Boba Fett. Yes. I mean, because his armor was in the episode. Boba. So I guess my thing is, okay, if Boba Fett's around, why is he letting this guy traipse around in his armor?
That's a big question I've been seeing around the interwebs. Sure.
I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out what he's doing. It seems like he's kind of like a bit of a recluse, or maybe he's like laying low or something.
He's just kind of dressed like a Tusken Raider.
Yeah, he kind of was, and I think that was probably just so he could like kind of fit in, laying low. But I mean, that's a big reveal, especially because obviously the explanation was that he died way back in the Sarlacc pit.
Correct. So
like a bitch. So it's good. It's good to know that Boba Fett, who was supposed to be this badass bounty hunter and was one of the most popular characters in Star Wars, mostly because he just looked really cool. Like that was one of the most popular toys at one point, like decades ago, I know.
Sure, yeah.
It's cool to know that he didn't go out just like a bitch by just like falling into a pit.
How he survived. I have seen somebody was talking about how like when the Sarlacc was eating other people, it just like ate them. But when it ate Boba Fett, it burped. So their theory was maybe the Beskar armor isn't digestible for the Sarlacc, and he kind of had some indigestion, maybe threw him up or something to that effect. Which I was like, all right, I'll buy it, I guess. But apparently we saw, and I didn't realize this until I was watching a breakdown. We saw Boba. Well, we didn't see him. We heard Boba Fett last season. Don't remember the episode, but all right. So there was a woman and you hear spurs, right? And then you assume she gets got, but we don't see who gots her. You like that grammar?
I love it.
Okay. So
what episode are we talking about?
I'll have to double check. Give me a second, but let me finish. All right. So we hear the spurs. We don't see who's the Spurs. We assume she gets got. And then when he's walking away at the end of this episode, we hear the same Spurs, implying that it was him in that season 1 episode.
Okay. I'm going to have to look into that because I forget. Interesting. And I didn't get through my Mando season 1 rewatch. Nowhere
How far
close.
did you
get? Okay, so last week I mentioned that I had watched episode 1 and 2.
Yeah.
That's as far as I got.
Oh my God. I was about to say, is that where it ended? Season 1 and 2?
Yeah, it's all she wrote. So yeah.
It happens. It happens.
So I failed there. But obviously if you know anything about me, I don't finish things.
You get about halfway through.
And I didn't get anywhere near halfway through this time. So I think I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse with age.
Why do you think that is? Like, is your memory going, or are you just losing interest faster? Do you need some Adderall?
No, I think it's more my attention span. Yeah. So yeah, and so I hope that. Do you think that we're going to see Timothy Oliphant, his marshal, going forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Apparently, he's a big deal in the books. So
good. Cool.
And also, it's kind of like last season where we would meet these characters in one episode, and then towards the end, they all kind of came together. I think it's going to be the same,
right?
Same type of vibe here.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got Jedi involved in this season. We've got more Mandalorians involved in this season. We've still got the Darksaber out there somewhere with Moff Gideon.
I'm sorry, I haven't been talking that much because I was looking that up for you, but I know. It's at the end of the 5th episode of season 1, where he meets that other bounty hunter named Toro, and they help with that assassin Finnick Shand, who was
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So it's at the end of that episode.
Okay. Wait, who got in that episode?
The Spurs come up to Finnick, the assassin. No, things get messy. Both Finnick and Toro are dead by the end of the episode, but Finnick's death may have bigger ramifications for Mando as the episode ends with a mysterious figure approaching her corpse and kneeling next to it. That's what it is. Okay. I haven't watched it in a year. You know,
okay. I remember that. I remember that. And okay, so we're thinking that was Boba Fett, which makes sense because it seems like maybe he's just kind of been in the background.
Right. Because I mean, it's both of these events happen on Tatooine. We hear the Spurs. Apparently we hear the Spurs in the original, in a deleted scene that was updated by George in like 1997. He added Spurs to Boba Fett. So it's kind of like that deal here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll accept it. I'll buy it.
But yeah, no, I'm interested to see more Boba Fett. Why? Okay, so also we've got about 3 more minutes to talk about this before we have to move on. But so there's also a debate in the Star Wars fandom as to whether Jango and Boba are actual Mandalorians. Have you heard this debate?
I've heard that they aren't.
Exactly. That's the general consensus is that they aren't.
Right.
Excuse me. So
which I mean, if they were, then the entire clone army would be Mandalorian. Is that what the
Mandalorian,
idea
don't
would be?
think of it. I mean, God,
it's more of a culture than like a nation or than like an ethnicity.
Correct. Yeah. So just like kind of Jin, our Mando here, Pedro Pascal, he wasn't like born into it, but you know, I mean,
he was a foundling.
Exactly. So yeah, that doesn't necessarily have to matter about the whole clone army being Mandalorians. They could, but we know that Jango was like a great warrior. But there's also the consensus is that he stole his Mandalorian armor from an actual Mandalorian, which would be very difficult, right? Because these guys are like warriors.
Right. Not only did we know that Jango was a great warrior, we also know that he didn't like Jedi, which the Mandalorians, you know, their whole thing was kind of just to fight the Jedi back in the day.
Yeah, which I think it would be more interesting. I don't know why everybody thinks or says or conscribes all of the above to them not being Mandalorians. Like I think it's more interesting if they are.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I mean, going off of this, so if they're not Mandalorians, that could explain why he doesn't care to get that armor back. Maybe he sees it as some kind of disgrace because, you know, or maybe he's given up that kind of lifestyle to live more nomadic.
I think that if he's not Mandalorian, there would be no disgrace involved whatsoever.
Well, he could still be prideful, and like that's
Right.
just kind of like, okay, I fucked up in that suit. Let's just kind of do my own thing for a minute.
Okay, fair. I guess if he's not Mandalorian, it's a lot easier for him to drop the suit.
Right. Because I feel like if he was Mandalorian, even if there was disgrace, he'd still want the armor back, right?
Right, because it's dope ass armor. Like it literally, the marshal took that armor and ended up like how long, I don't know how long it said he had the armor, but he mentioned something about like this is how I was able to like save our city or something like
Well,
that. Like
how
this is the
long?
only way I was able to fight,
How long was this? Is 5 years after the Empire falls, isn't it?
something like that.
So he's probably had it for about 4.5, 5 years, or maybe 4.5.
Yeah, yeah, I
Because
guess
we see
so.
him in that
Right, right,
bar when the Death Star blows up.
right.
Then he starts wandering. Then the Jawas find him, and that's when he gets the armor and comes
Yeah,
back and
yeah,
blah blah blah.
yeah. I just thought it was cool how they made it very clear, like the difference that that type of armor can make. That's like a suit of Beskar can actually make. He
Oh, for
was
sure, yeah.
like until I found this armor, like we were all fucked basically.
So what's Mando gonna do with this armor?
So he probably wants to just bring it back to his people, right?
But he doesn't know. We don't know. He doesn't know where he's going anymore, right? Because that was the
Right,
Mandalorian that guy thought
right,
was a Mandalorian, but it's not.
right. So he's gonna hang on to the armor. I don't know. So I mean, if him and Marshall are boys now, then he probably will let him wear it again. But I think ultimately the deal will be this has to still end up, with my people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mando is very, very much like he very much adheres to the code and everything like that. So,
Yeah,
like at the end of the day, he wants that armor back with his boys.
yeah. Um, but if he was gonna let him wear it again, wouldn't he just let him keep it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
probably,
tough.
probably, maybe, or maybe they're just gonna stick together. And whenever times get tough, he's like, "All right, throw that shit on, suit up."
Suit up, bitch. No, but I am very excited to see number one more of or Boba Fett, excuse me.
Hmm.
Because you're right. Like the original trilogy, they built him up to be this real badass motherfucker. We don't really see him do shit in the original trilogy.
No, and Django didn't do shit either. I mean, they built Django up. I mean, obviously that was later when the prequels came out, but
Mm-hmm.
Django supposedly was, the first one, and he was supposed to be this badass,
Mm-hmm.
and he went out like kind of a bitch too. He lost his head.
Yeah, Mace Windu, you did
Yep,
it. R.I.P.
yep.
buddy.
He did it to him.
I do like that they've got the same actor though, because Boba was a clone of Django, so it's cool
Yep,
that they got the same actor.
for sure. He
Who
also
also
played
does voices in like the Clone Wars series and stuff like that. Like he's really
as the
into the
clones.
the Star
Yeah,
Wars
yeah.
universe.
Oh yeah. So of course they were going to bring that guy back
Yeah.
for sure.
Anything else before we end?
Um, I think we covered. Most of it. So I mean, we've got a lot. We already know a bunch of stuff that's going to happen within the season that this episode all like barely built to at all. Like pretty
Right.
much didn't do anything to move towards. And one of them, which is maybe the most intriguing to me, is Ahsoka Tano is going to be part of this at some point.
And we know this for sure. This isn't just a rumor.
Yeah, she's played by Rosario Dawson. Is that her
Was
name?
that for the Mandalorian? I thought that was for something separate.
No, 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 no.
Oh.
That's for Mando.
Oh well, shit. Fuck me.
So we will have Ahsoka, who is obviously probably one of the most popular Star Wars characters right now.
No, yeah.
Especially, I mean,
Who?
Clone Wars was really big last year.
Yeah. For those who don't
Almost.
know, Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan. She left the Jedi Order. Now she's just kind of righting her own wrongs, like doing justice her way.
Yeah, yeah. Left the Order before Order 66 went down and all the Jedi got purged.
Yes.
So she kind of like witnessed, not really witnessed, but she was kind of there for Anakin's fall into Darth Vaderhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's dope. I guess technically now she's a gray Jedi, which is somebody who isn't necessarily a Jedi, but like doesn't adhere. I don't know. I think she's referred to as a gray Jedi, which is somewhere in the middle between
Mhm.
like dark and light.
I'm pretty sure her lightsabers are white.
They're white. Hmm.
Yes.
Yep, and they were given to her by Anakin.
But they weren't white when Anakin gave them to her, were they?
They were like
I thought she had to like purify the crystal, and that's what made it white because it was from a red lightsaber.
I mean, Anakin gave her white ones in Clone Wars.
I don't know. I'll have to do some research. I'll get back to you.
Okay, cool.
All right. So
Cool.
we're excited for Fridays again because we got the Mandalorian. It's replacing the boys for the time being, which is great. But we've also got to talk Bachelorette. So
We sure do.
this episode, all right. So I'm not sure that she's at Hannah Brown level. She might be. I don't like Hannah Brown, but Claire, I really am starting not to enjoy.
Okay, so you were very casual about that. I think that Claire hands down is the worst Bachelorette at this point. I think
Okay.
she's the worst. We know she's going to leave next week. Tonight, actually, we're recording this Tuesday night.
Thursday. They
What?
moved it because of elections.
Oh shit, that's right. Oh, of course, duh, obviously. So we know that she's going to leave Thursday night, which I mean, and the way that she handled herself on this episode was abysmal. It was like embarrassing. And I actually read an article and it had quotes from like some of the creators, like some of the producers, right, of the show. And they said, yeah, there was a very specific point while we were filming where we realized that this was not going to work out, and whether she wanted to or not, we were going to have to move on from Claire. And it was when she refused to give out the rose in this last episode for the group date. She gave it to herself, like some little, I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to call her a name, but that was one of like I don't even really know how to explain it. I had never seen something like that on the show before.
And
like that was almost like pathetic. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish here, Claire? Yeah. Literally, you are wasting these guys, like everyone's time, and it's so clear.
Yeah. Let's start at the beginning of the episode. So we have the cocktail party, and we have Yosef pull Claire aside, and he's just being a total douchebag.
The villain.
Yes. Which I guess we got to get rid of this villain because we're about to get rid of our Bachelorette. But he like just kind of, I don't know, talks down to her, berates her. Like he's not being a good guy.
Dude, I thought that his goal in talking to her, because after the dodgeball game, he was like fed up. He was like, you would never catch me dead doing that. Like, I can't believe she did that. She's so childish. Like, and then he was like, I'm gonna have to say something to her. Like, I'm gonna have to talk to her. And so first off, I'm thinking like, okay, is this even a good idea in the first place? Because it's really not that big of a deal. Like everybody just was kind of having fun.
And he wasn't even on the date.
Right. And you weren't even on the date. Nobody made you do it. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, what are you trying to do? Sticking up for what? Yourself or them or your daughter or whatever he wanted to make it out to be. But then, it seemed like, okay, you got to assume that this guy is going to have some tact and is going to just be like, look, Claire, I just want to respectfully let you know that, like, it made me feel uncomfortable that you were making all those guys get naked. And, if it would have been me, I would have hoped that, like, maybe, you wouldn't expect that of me or something, like with my daughter watching. But no, he straight up was like, I'm ashamed to know you.
Yeah.
Like he said almost that quote for quote. He was basically ridiculous. Like, yeah, and he went in on her. He basically was, he kind of like tore her a new one. When he started talking to her, for the first like few sentences, it was like, okay, like he's keeping his cool a little bit. Maybe he's being a little over aggressive, but like, it's not like crazy yet. And then she didn't even talk. She let him talk for a long time. And his thing turned from something like halfway respectful to just complete disrespect to Claire in general.
Right.
Which at the end of the day, in my opinion, as just a humble Bachelorette viewer, that is a much worse look for his daughter than anything he would have done in his underwear playing dodgeball.
Correct. Which he's been modeling on his Instagram all in his underwear as of late. So I don't get what this
dude really is just the villain, and that's pretty much it.
Correct. And okay, so like he's doing all this talking, and he says something like, I would never do that. And she says, yeah, that's why you weren't chosen for that date.
Right.
And then when she tries to talk, he's like, no. He wouldn't let her like get a word in. And then she's finally like, you know what?
And then she was like, wait,
letting you talk.
You asked me to let you talk. I did. Now it's my turn. You piece of shit.
Right. And then as he goes out, of course, he throws that line we've seen in the trailers. I expected more from the oldest Bachelorette, blah, blah, blah. Just a bunch of douchebaggery on his way out. And then of course, Dale comes to the rescue.
Of course,
Comforts her.
of course, of course.
But,
And actually, we'll obviously get into it. I don't know if we're getting there yet, but Dale has become one of my least favorite characters as well in history.
we can talk about that during the roast part.
Yeah.
But then the rose ceremony happens, and we say bye to Blake and Garen and Tyler S. Who gives a shit? And we're not at the point, and I guess we're not going to get to that point where the guys have made a big enough impact where I care who's going home just yet.
Right. Although there was one situation in this episode that hurt me a little bit. We'll get to it.
Okay. And then we have the group date that wasn't. So we had Jason, Jay, Easy, Chasen, Blake, Ed, Riley, and Dale. And they're just sitting there all fucking day, just waiting for their date. And then Claire comes in and she's like, "Oh, sorry. We're not going to do a date. We'll just have a cocktail hour, yada, yada, yada." I'm like, well, that's kind of like fucked up, right? They've been sitting here all day and you don't even want to come and let them know, like, you know what, we can just like hang out at the pool or something. You're just like, nothing.
Dude, she made it so clear numerous times in this episode that she does not give a living shit about any one of those guys other than Dale.
Correct.
Like, literally, she could not be more disinterested in the rest of the guys.
For real.
She literally couldn't in any circumstance.
So yeah, she's like, we're just do a cocktail. They get ready for their cocktail hour, whatever. And even then she like only really spends time with Dale. Like first he takes her off for like, he says, I only need 5 minutes with her. He's gone for like an hour. They're like in her cabana or her suite or whatever, making out all over the bed, grinding, dry humping, whatever you want to call it, doing the devil's tango. Then finally Easy like goes looking for her. He like knocks on the fucking door, and then Dale like tries to hide, I guess, like we don't fucking know he's in there. And then that just leads to more awkwardness when Easy's just like okay, and she's like, oh no, we can talk. And then Dale's like, all right, I'll bounce. And then he like kind of leaves, and then they're just kind of like awkwardly sitting there. And then so she's like not giving any of these guys any of her attention really. And Dale sneaks back in at one point, and he just like I think it was, I don't remember who it was. But they're like, oh yeah, Dale came in and stole her.
He was like, oh, I didn't know someone else was in here.
Right.
Like,
I'm
literally
like,
that guy could not stay away from her room. Like he physically could not bring himself to have any distance between him and that room.
Right. It was like he was a magnet. Like he's like, oh, I was just going to the bathroom. I was like, and how the fuck did you end up in her room?
And he couldn't talk about it either. Like literally. So before this episode, I thought Dale was this like smooth criminal, like smooth operator. Like, he's cool. Like he talks well. Like he always knows what to say and things like that. He looked like absolutely pitiful in this episode whenever they called him out. He goes back to the group. And obviously they're all thinking one thing: hey, fuck you, Dale. Like, who do you think you are? And he's like stumbling over his words. He's like, what? He's like, has that stupid grin on his face. He's like, yeah, I was just going to the bathroom, and then I saw them, and then I saw you guys, and I didn't know who was what or what was what. But I was going to the bathroom, like I was saying, and then like I think it was Easy was like, bro, just own up to it. Like literally, we all know what you're doing. It's so very clear.
That was the worst part.
Just own up to it, dude. It's fine. And he still was just like, no, I was going to the bathroom, and then I didn't know where this was, and then I saw you guys, and then I did this, and it was like it was like embarrassing to watch him try to like stammer over his words. And I thought he was a smooth guy, but no, it turns out like literally he can't even make something up. Like, he didn't even have anything to say.
Right. Finally, Riley's just like, whatever, man. Like, you just do you. We'll just leave it alone, I guess. Because, like, he could not come up with an excuse. Everybody knew he was lying. It was just embarrassing all around.
And then he walks back in there.
Yeah.
While somebody else is in there. It's like, dude. Like,
so,
I mean, at the end of the day, none of what him and Claire did in that situation mattered. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because she's going to go home with him.
Yeah.
In the next episode forever.
Yep. So she gives out the group date rose. Surprise, surprise. It goes to fucking Dale. And then we'll move on to our one-on-one with Zach J. So they have this.
Zach J.
Well, we'll get to that part. So we start with a spa date, and that's going all right, I guess. Then they go to the pool, and she's like, "All right, you want to get ready for dinner or whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine." And so, God, so she like leans in to kiss him. He doesn't move, but she like stops like right there. He doesn't move, and then
I
she's
think
like,
okay, so he leaned in a little bit.
I rewatched the tape.
He didn't lean in at all.
No, she leaned in like she was going to go full force, like she was going to go all the way. He stayed still, probably to stop a collision. If I
Because
were
she was already coming in hard,
right,
right?
yeah. So
And then
she stops like right there.
she manufactured a situation where she went in hard and then stopped and was like, "Oh my god, why did you make that so awkward?" And she like turned it into a thing.
Yeah,
But
like
like
she's
it
like, "Oh,
seemed
you don't want to kiss me?" Yada yada yada. What the fuck?
and he
But
was like,
then he does get a bit aggressive, and it is a little when he's
"Okay,
grabbing her and trying to.
it is a little but also that guy was absolutely befuddled in that moment.
Sure, yeah,
Like
he was definitely.
he didn't know what the hell was going on. Like because she just like made that happen. She orchestrated that
Mhm.
so that she could. I think she did that so she could send him home. Like she wanted to.
She could have just not given him the rose on the date.
But look, you forget she's awful. So one thing I want to mention, I thought it was hilarious how when she chose the date with Zach, she's like all smiles at the beginning. She's talking to the camera about, you know, I'm present, I'm feeling good, I only have eyes for Zach. I've got a fun day playing with him. Like keyword, I'm quote present. And
Mhm.
then the first chance that she got on that spa date, she's telling the camera, God, I just want to be with Dale right now.
Yeah. Oh, I wish Dale was on this date. I was like, "Are you
Like
fucking kidding me?"
Like I've never seen a bachelorette behave like that. Like while she's on a date with somebody else, especially so early
Mhm.
and in group dates, like just blatantly only caring about one guy and absolutely not giving a shit about anybody else around her, even though she's the one they're there for, putting their lives on hold for.
Right. Yeah. No,
God.
it's
Yeah, and of course, after that, she doesn't even come out to tell him that he's going home. She has Chris Harrison do it.
well,
Um,
she was a bit shaken up from his aggressiveness. You see her crying in her suite after that. And
um,
she mentions like past relationships. So I mean I guess it like brought up some things.
I thought her whole thing was about the fact that was it about him being a little grabby after it
Uh, yes, I
because
think
he
she got
was
upset about him not kissing her, not moving in for the kiss, but then the grabbing afterwards is what really like shook her or put her in whatever state she was when she was in the suite.
yeah. And I mean every one of these situations just makes it really clear that so Claire's whole thing, right, is that she's like so strong because she's gotten through past traumas and she's gotten over it and now she's in a new phase of her life and she's better and she's stronger. But no, every single thing that she does, she brings up, well, because of this thing in the past and because of this thing in the past and because of this thing in the past. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, it's very clear that that's still the person that she is, which is unfortunate for everyone else on that show other than Dale.
Right. Um, Now, I was looking at this article, which is written by a woman, so I don't want anybody to say it's because a man wrote it or whatever. But it says it's talking about this part of the episode, and I'm just gonna skip. This is like after they're discussing the did you pull away from me? Why'd you stop? Yada yada yada. So it says now the Bachelorette. No, here we go. Where are we gonna? Where's that sentence? All right. What isn't understandable is the way he keeps grabbing Claire by the back of the neck and trying to pull her toward him. It's not great. Which we've said yes, that was not a good look. Very
A little
aggressive.
aggressive.
And then the article goes on. Now the Bachelorette has a perfect excuse to end the date completely, which I suspect was her goal from the beginning. And then in
Yep.
quotes here, Zach just made me feel extremely uncomfortable. She says that kind of triggers me and kind of scared me. Cut to, and then the date with Chris Harrison and the date with Chris Harrison that was supposed to be with Claire, but he's like, yeah, so yeah, you're gonna have to pack your bags.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it really seemed like she just orchestrated that so she could send the dude home.
And this article, by the way, Entertainment Weekly, written by Kristen Baldwin, just so we don't get sued or whatever.
Okay.
Because we don't have money for that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got stacks on stacks, bitch. Anyway, but yeah, so that was really awkward. Sorry, that alarm. That was really awkward. Chris Harrison sends him home, so that's the end of Zach J.
And so one of the things that I was thinking of is, okay, so she sent Zach J home for basically a reason that she made up, at least at the beginning, and then she's just gonna leave, and a new bachelorette's gonna come in. So it's like that dude went home for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that's gone home so far has gone home for nothing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty much everybody from the beginning of this season.
She was never gonna give a shit about any of them in the first place.
Yeah, which, if you believe the rumors, her and Dale were in contact before they started filming. So you could say, like we said just now, anybody from the beginning had no chance. She had already picked Dale before he even came out of the limo. The womb, yes.
Before he even came out of the womb.
Moving on to group date number 2, probably one of my favorite dates in Bachelorette history, the roast of Dale.
Yeah.
So they bring in Margaret Cho to kind of, I guess, teach these guys how to write jokes and how to roast people or whatever. And I don't know how Claire didn't see this coming, but like the guys,
because she's awful.
Yes, that's the title of this episode, because she's awful. I don't think we can make that the title. We might get some flack for being misogynists.
I don't think that's going to be our title.
We'll find a better title. But so they write jokes, and a lot of them, or all of them, do roast Dale with like 1 or 2 jokes, but Bennett just goes in. And Bennett, I said, was my favorite last episode. Like, he really solidified himself. I thought he was going to be the villain, but he really turned it around for me. Yep. So Bennett just goes in on Dale, joke after joke. Some of them aren't even good, but I'm still laughing just because it's Bennett and his delivery, and like everybody else in the room is just like loving it.
Yep.
But then afterwards, okay, so we do the roast of Dale. She's like, oh, this is the part that really got me. When she said, I didn't appreciate them talking to my fiance like that. I was like, what are you talking about?
She's the most disrespectful bachelorette ever.
For real.
There's no like, you hear her say things like that, and it's like, why am I watching this? Why is she here? Why are they here? Why is this show taking place right now? Like, this is completely pointless.
Episode 3.
Right.
Now, I've heard previous bachelors and bachelorettes say, yeah, once you get down to maybe like 5, you kind of know who you're gonna pick, or like
they're always careful about how they talk about it.
Claire
just does not care at all.
Now, I did have a thought, and I don't know, I'm curious as to what you think. So usually we don't really see those behind the scenes kind of camera angles that often, unless it's to like drum up some kind of drama. So I'm curious, because we know the producers edit all of this like to tell their narrative. I'm curious if other bachelors and bachelorettes have said something like this, which they probably have, but they just choose not to put it in the final edit. But since everybody knew about Claire's thing, and to like make it more dramatic and whatnot, they just decided to put her clip in. Do you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think it's hard to believe that she's the first person who has said something like that.
Right.
But I do also think that most, if not all, of the seasons that I've seen have ended where the bachelor or the bachelorette, they have a hard choice between 2 people or 3 or whatever. And most of them don't even end up with that person anyways. So it's like, they're probably not talking like that about someone.
Yeah, they're not going to say like, oh, my fiance or whatever.
Right, because they're not like, from what I've seen in past seasons, these people have not been like Claire, where it's like she has absolutely zero disregard for anybody other than one person.
Right.
So I'd be surprised if somebody hasn't said something like that before, but
not to that extent.
I think it's probably safe to say that it's not common, and it's nowhere near the same extent or like similar context.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'd agree with that.
But yeah, dude, when we were watching that, she said that, me and Leo, my roommate, we just looked at each other literally with like our jaws just down, like it was like the Nick Young face from the meme, just like
sure. Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me right now? Did she really just say that?
Oh my god. Yeah, she's kind of the worst.
The
So then
worst. Yeah. I
after
mean,
the group, go ahead.
no, keep going. Keep going.
After the group date, we get the cocktail or whatever. And so she's talking to everybody, but all she wants to talk about is Dale. Like with every person she has her little one-on-one time with, all she's bringing up is like, oh, so there was a lot of jokes on Dale. Oh, so Dale
Yep.
this, Dale that. And then one guy, I can't remember who it was. Maybe you do. He was like, yeah, you know, I spent a lot of time talking about Dale, or Dale's gotten a lot. He said Dale's gotten enough airtime. I want to make a connection with you and talk to you about other
I'm
things.
pretty sure that was actually Bennett who said that.
Okay, cool. See,
Yeah,
I
like
knew I liked him.
he was very professional with Claire. After that, when they were together, he was like, yeah, you know, that was just, you know, for fun or whatever. And now I'm, you know, I'm ready to talk about like us and things like that.
Right.
Like I'm actually not interested in like continuing to talk about Dale because I already
Right.
did it like
Exactly.
a lot. Yeah.
But then she's like, okay. And then brings up Dale again, like 2
Right.
seconds later. So,
Right.
and somebody else was like, when all the dudes were just talking to each other, he was like, yeah, I wrote 42 jokes and only 2 of them were about Dale. And that's all
She wanted to talk about.
Right.
Which is awesome because obviously they only showed a few jokes from each person.
Right.
But that roast must have been really long, and like I'm curious to hear some of these other jokes.
Yeah, I wish they would have put that at the end, you know, when they do the little
because
funny thing.
the guy who said the thing about like writing 20 or 40 jokes or whatever, like he was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name again?
Don't remember.
Cool. Checks out.
There's too many guys for me to care, and Claire doesn't care right now, so it's not helping me care. No, it's not like usually if the Bachelor or Bachelorette like gives them some time, I get to know them, but I don't know anybody other than Dale and Bennett because he's got such a good personality.
Right. Right.
So
and one of the things I will say that the main like I don't know, the silver lining behind how terrible Claire has been and how awful this season has been so far, the silver lining is that I love how this is bringing the boys together so much. I've never seen a season. This is a season of a lot of firsts for me. I've never seen a season where the guys like each other as much as they do this season. Like they all get along except for Dale, obviously.
Sure.
When anybody else oversteps, like the Canadian dude did in the last episode, after losing the dodgeball game and then going over and like crashing their party, like they're still cool. They're still generally cool with him after that.
Yeah.
Like they hate Dale, but they all like, they're just boys. They just like enjoy hanging out.
Yeah.
They all, especially when the boy band manager guy, I forget his name, but he started just like airing it out. He was like, look, it's very clear that she literally only cares about Dale and none of us. Why are we here? Do you guys notice that too? And Bennett actually was one of the only ones who was like, no, I don't think that's the case. Like he was giving her the benefit of the doubt.
He did.
Because he's a good dude.
But then afterwards he was like, yep, nope, probably not.
Right. And then they're just like further bonding. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out when Tasia gets there. Correct. And it turns into an actual game because it hasn't been so far. It hasn't even been anything so far.
Right. So then, like we said, after she has, I guess you could call this one-on-one time with the boys on the date, she's about to give out the rose. And I called this to Jess. I was like, she's not going to give it to anybody. And then she doesn't. She just keeps the rose. She says, so I'm not going to give this to anybody, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, that's not their fault. All you wanted to do is talk about Dale. You didn't get a chance to like really get to know any of them.
Right.
But it doesn't matter.
You know, she likes to orchestrate reasons to not be like cool with other guys that are not Dale. Yeah. And she just was waiting for the opportunity to like basically take a whole group out. She basically was like, look, I didn't get what I needed from
what she said.
Any of you. And then it's like, okay, so at the end of the day, what are any of those guys getting from you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just a one-way street. Like they're there for you, but you're also there for all of them too.
Yeah. But then we get to the worst kept secret ever, Tasia. Oh my God, she comes out of these. I'm sorry, Jess. She comes out of the pool. She's looking fucking like, you know, she looks, all I can do is sound effects.
She's a goddess. She's a goddess.
And I think I literally was like, finally, when she came out of the pool, because I was like so ready to be done with Claire.
Yep.
But
yeah, a couple more days and we're through Claire. We're done with. We don't ever have to see her again.
until they do the reunion. You think she's going to be on the reunion?
No.
They have to bring her on the reunion.
Okay. They have to bring her and Dale to the reunion with a ring on her finger, which they're
we also got, maybe they don't stay together. Maybe he like lives with her through quarantine, and he realizes.
So I know something about that.
I mean, we all know. Go ahead.
Supposedly they're engaged right now. Currently.
Supposedly, but she also came out and said that ring is a ring she's had for like years or some shit.
Oh, she did say that?
Mm-hmm. Jessica informed me because I said the same thing to her.
Interesting.
So yeah, she said it's not an engagement ring. She's been wearing it for years. I didn't really do any digging into old pictures. She's been wearing it for years
on her ring finger. Is that where she was wearing it?
I think it was the ring finger, but it was on the right hand, not her left hand.
So then what kind of dummy would think that was an engagement ring?
Dummies who mirror the image and are looking for clues. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I could give two shits about Claire right now. Yep. She has jumped Hannah Brown in my least favorite Bachelorettes. Congratulations, Hannah. You're one step from the bottom. Claire, do better.
You suck.
You suck.
Yeah, it's Tasia time.
And I'm here for it.
I am too. I'm ready for the show. Ready for the show to become the show.
Yes. To actually like see some shit happen. Not just Dale.
Yeah.
Not just Dale.
Yeah, I feel like it's just been like an annoying nothing show so far.
Yeah. Well,
where it's one girl like scorning a bunch of guys in favor of one guy, and that's it. Like that's not what this is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be guys fighting over a girl who likes at least two of them.
Right. So
or at least wants to get to know some of them.
Yeah. So last thing, and then we'll get out of here. Do you think we see Tasia at the end of the episode, and that's how we'll start episode 5? Because next episode is episode 4. Or is she going to come in the middle of the episode, and we'll get like half Claire, half Tasia?
So my hope is that I don't have to subject myself to another full Claire episode.
Mm-hmm. That's my hope as well, but I don't know that that's not going to happen.
So the thing is that they've made it very clear what's going to happen in the next episode. So how much buildup can they really have to that? You know, it happens during the daytime.
They have a shit ton of footage. They could build that out for a whole episode. I don't remember.
The guys are already over her as of this episode.
Sure. And they're like staging a walkout.
Right. So if they drag that out for one whole episode, I think that they should do half and half. Just have it be half, and then we learn with like a good, I don't know, half an hour to go or something like that Tasia's going to come in. Maybe it's like the next day or something. Mm-hmm. And she, gets the party started, like an opening night type thing. And then the next episode is where they really get into it.
Okay. I'll buy it.
That's my hope.
All right. Me too. We'll see. So Clay and I, we want to thank you guys for listening or watching. Looking at you, YouTube. Thanks for watching. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at masters.cultureverse. You can go to YouTube, type Masters of the Cultureverse. We're right there. Make sure you like and subscribe on that. Email us your announcements, shout outs, whatever you want. masters.cultureverse@gmail.com. We'll say it on air. You saw, I'll actually check the email every day before recording just to make sure that I don't miss anything. Send in your questions, your thoughts, whatever you want. We'll read it. I'm Caleb. That's Clay. We're the Masters of the Cultureverse. We'll see you next week. Bye.